I hesitated when they offered me the job as a McDonald's night shift manager. I'd already worked at the store for 6 months, but that was during the day. I rarely worked after dark, and I had talked to coworkers who had. Super busy, understaffed, and rowdy customers. And those were the general complaints. And I figured that was why the night shift manager position had such a high turnover rate. In 6 months, there had been 4 new managers, and every single one of them had quit. The last one to leave was Jesse, a guy who used to work the afternoons and would always come in high. He did it so often that I assumed that was just how he was. And then one day, he came in sober and I thought, shit, I see why they hired him. It didn't surprise me too much when he accepted the promotion. The one benefit of the position was that there's no one on your ass. No mystery shoppers, the general manager's at home fast asleep. And you can pretend that the ice cream machine's broken all you want, and no one's gonna call you on it. What did surprise me was when he quit, barely a week in. He didn't even put in a notice. He walked out of the store in the middle of the shift and he never came back. His final paycheck gathered dust in the back office, and no one ever managed to get in touch with him. And that's when they offered the position to me. I had my doubts, but I had just turned 18. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, and the pay was nearly double my salary as a regular crew member. I took the job honestly, and I underwent about a week of training. And the next thing I knew, I was in charge of the place from 11 to 7, 5 nights a week. It wasn't bad. For the first 3 hours, I would have an extra worker in the kitchen, and another one up front to take orders and hand food out of the window. They both left at 3, and then the store is empty except for me and Miriam, the only cook in the kitchen. Miriam was a short, quiet, middle-aged woman who had been working in the kitchen for more than a decade. She didn't speak English too well, but she understood it just fine. It was around 4 o'clock one Sunday night when I understood why Jesse had left. The line outside was gone and the parking lot was empty. The floor and the tables in the lobby were spotless, untouched since the janitor had left. The only sound was the constant hum of the fryers. I knew that I still had things to do. I still needed to reboot the computer system, count the registers. But I took a moment to stand by the front counter, looking out into the lobby that closed each night at 11. I wasn't looking at anything in particular, but my eyes settled on the reflection in the window and I saw something move underneath one of the booth tables. My eyesight wasn't great, so I leaned over the counter and I squinted, until I knew that I wasn't imagining things. It was a girl's legs, sticking straight out horizontally from well beneath the table. She had snow-white shoes, the type that nurses wear. Her legs were bare, but I couldn't see anything above the kneecap. The back of her heels rested on the floor, and her toes pointed towards the ceiling. And then the toes of her shoes started to sway, back and forth, like she was listening to music. I watched her for a moment. Was she hurt? Was this a prank? People had walked into the lobby after closing before, looking to order or use the bathroom, but I had never seen any of them act like this. Usually, they would come right up to the front counter, and then I would say, "Sorry, lobby's closed," and that would be the end of it. But this... "Hey!" I shouted. "The lobby's closed." My voice echoed through the building, and as soon as I yelled it, the legs froze in place. For a moment, they both lay on the floor completely still. The girl under the table drew them in close, one at a time, until they were far enough within the booth that I could no longer see them. I figured that she was getting up and I waited for her to show herself, but she never did. I shouted again. "I know you're there. but nothing happened. I sighed, lowered my headset around my neck, and I walked out into the lobby. She was going to have to acknowledge me whether she wanted to or not. But when I turned the corner and I made it to the booth, no one was underneath. I looked under the other tables and I saw no one. I took a wide look scanning the whole lobby. Besides Miriam in the kitchen, the place was empty. I stood there for a while, my feet frozen to the floor. Eventually I sighed and I walked back towards the counter, trying not to dwell on the fact that I had imagined a pair of legs under the table for at least a full minute. I wasn't going crazy. I was just tired. I put the headset back on, and when I was sure no one had pulled into the drive-thru, I double-checked the entrances and made sure all the doors were locked. They already were. If there really was a little girl hiding somewhere in the store, there wasn't. Then she would have been hiding for at least the past 5 hours. That was ridiculous. I would have noticed her before now. I took another passing glance into the lobby as I walked back around the counter, and I paused. In the reflection of the glass, I saw one of the white shoes now lying on the floor. I couldn't see anyone else, no one underneath the booth. I turned around to get Miriam's attention. Would she see this too? But she wasn't in the kitchen anymore. She must have gone to the stockroom for supplies. I turned back around, trying to get the best angle for the reflection. But from behind the counter, I could only see the shadows below the table. And of course the shoe lying beside it. A moment later, a small pale hand reached out from the darkness, grabbed the shoe and pulled it back under the table without a sound. I almost forgot to breathe. I stared at the reflection for an eternity, waiting for something to poke out again, for some other sign that this was all real. I don't know how long it took me to realize that the phone was ringing. Miriam had called my name from the office. When I turned around, she was walking over to hand me the still ringing landline phone. I gave another look towards the reflection in the window before taking the phone, and I allowed myself to relax when again, I saw nothing. It's late, I'm exhausted, I'm not going crazy. I thanked Miriam and I answered the call. I didn't expect much. At this time of night, no well-intentioned person would ever call us. It was usually a mistake. Some kid pulling a prank or someone who wasn't sure if we were open 24/7, and they wanted to call first before they drove all the way here. But I knew from the moment that I heard the caller's voice that this was different.
Help. Please help me.
A young soft voice trembled on the line. A little girl. My eyes drifted back across the lobby and to the reflection in the window.
Who is this? I'm stuck,
she said. I didn't see anything unusual near the booth this time.
I'm stuck under the table. Where are you?
I asked, except I knew exactly where she was.
Please help me get out,
she continued, as if she hadn't heard me.
I'm stuck. I can't get out.
I could feel the hairs on the back of my neck standing up, and my vision felt hyper-focused. Where once the reflection was blurry, I could now see it with perfect clarity. Nothing happened though. Nothing moved from under the table. But the voice on the phone kept begging for help.
Please, sir. I've been stuck here for so long.
I almost hung up the phone right there. If I had, I think I would have pretended nothing had happened. And if the phone rang again, I wouldn't have answered it. But this wasn't the sort of thing that anyone could just ignore. And I had this feeling crawling through my skin that I could hang up the phone as much as I wanted. She wasn't going to stop calling. I went back into the lobby. I didn't walk any slower than usual, but it seemed to take forever to make it to that booth. I kept thinking about Jesse, how he had suddenly disappeared without any explanation. I crouched down and I looked under the table, and just like last time, nobody was there. I gave a shaky sigh of relief. The voice on the phone felt so fake now. It was an obvious prank caller, one who would happen to have picked the best possible time to mess with me.
Nice try, asshole,
I said into the phone, and for once, I managed to cut the speaker off.
Don't call this place again. But I can see you now,
she said, sounding honestly confused.
I'm right next to you. You're wearing a red and black uniform, and a visor. Yeah, obviously,
I said. If this was a prank caller, they needed to know that the jig was up.
This is McDonald's. We all dress like that. And your eyes are brown, and you don't have a name tag, and you have a cut on your right hand.
Her descriptions kept going, to the point where she was describing the way I was crouching down, to the shape of my nose, to the trembling of my hands. I looked at the window again, trying to see past my own reflection and into the parking lot outside. Someone's watching me from outside. I told myself, but I was wrong. The reflection was all I needed to see. And it was the girl's face, peeking out an inch or two from under the table. She stared right at me, nearly an arm's length away, her lips moving in sync with the words I heard through the phone. I jerked away from her, stumbling back against a chair. I dropped the phone on the floor and I could still hear the pitch of her voice from it, but no sound whatsoever emerged from under the booth itself. There was nothing there. Nothing but the floor tiles and the support beam for the table. I looked back into the glass and I could still see her there, clear as day, looking up at me with wide black eyes. Her mouth moved soundlessly, but she didn't move any closer. I grabbed the phone and I ran back behind the counter. My heart pounded in my chest, my throat, my head. I struggled to breathe. I looked back at the window and there she was again, watching me with her head poked out of the booth. She frowned, and dark red tears started dripping down her face. I placed the phone back to my ear and I heard her again.
Why'd you leave me? I thought you were going to help me. I'm stuck and I can't get out.
She kept going and I listened, growing sicker to my stomach as she started to scream.
Please, I've been down here so long.
I was snapped out of it by Miriam calling my name from the kitchen. I turned around to see her watching me with narrow eyes. Are you okay? For a moment, I had no idea how to answer that. I looked back at the window and I saw nothing, but there was no way in hell I had imagined it all. I placed the phone up to my ear and I heard the girl screaming again. It was almost comforting. She was real and I could hear her. I told Miriam about the girl under the table and her voice on the phone, and I must have been talking too fast because she clearly couldn't understand me. So I handed her the phone and I told her to listen. Miriam put the phone up to her ear. She listened for about 2 seconds and then calmly ended the call and placed the phone face down on the counter. Demon girl, she said. What? She repeated herself slowly, making sure she was pronouncing it right. Demon girl, she said. Lives under the table. Don't let her touch you. You'll be fine. And with that, she returned to cleaning the grill, humming to herself. My headset dinged and I heard a car pulling up to the drive-thru speaker. I raised my hand to the button on my headset to take the order, but my fingers stopped a few inches short. I looked at the girl's face through the window again. She glared at me, never blinking, never looking away.
Hello,
said the customer, but taking his order was the last thing I wanted to do. My palms were sweating, the room was spinning, and most of all, I felt sick to my stomach.
Is anybody there?
The customer said.
Hello.
I took off my headset and I walked out of the door, and I never stepped foot in that building again.